Mike. What's in a name? For some, it's history, faith, family, creativity. For others, it's just an identifier. Nothing more, nothing less. Personally, I don't accept that latter explanation because, you see, behind every Mike is often a Michael, and behind that Michael is a person marked with merit and humanity. Each Mike tells us a story. With every Mike, with every Michael, a life lived and loved, and one thing glues all Mikes together. Simply told, it's the mononym and moniker many embrace. Mike. Hebrew in origin, he who is like God, a soldier, protector. Regardless of your religious denomination, I hope you see these Mikes not as a god to be worshipped, but as men who are godly in their pursuit of greatness and charity, godly in their determination and passion. Men to be admired, for certain. Today, I hope to share some love and admiration for Mikes who've planted their flag on the baseball diamond in MLB The Show. My entire team will consist only of Mikes, and even our team branding will don the legendary 4 letters. What began for me as a goofy curiosity led to so much more. An appreciation for the Warriors, the Mikes, and the accomplishments they've given us. Many Mikes have made their way through baseball history, and I trust many more magnificent Mikes may make magic in the future. Fortunately, the show knows and respects the importance and history of Mikes just as much as I do. So thankfully, we have enough Mikes to field an entire team, both in our lineup and in the bullpen. As an obvious caveat, many Mikes you'll see today may generally go by Michael, but a Michael is only a Mike who wields an additional syllable. And as such, today, they are Mike. Let me introduce you to the heroes of our story. In left field, Mike Scooter Conforto, the lowest overall of all of our starters. As the only live series player in our lineup, though, I want to see Mike Conforto become a diamond IRL, just like he is in my heart. In center field, legendary Journey Mike, a wonderfully charitable man who prioritizes teamwork and is currently on the Mariners coaching staff, Jolt Mike Cameron. In my last video, I took a few digs at Mike Trout, and I feel it's only right to make up for it by welcoming him in as one of the truly great Mikes in sports and human history. His spotlight card will play right field for this all-Mike team. First base, once Tar Heel, current Cub, always Mike, a talented Mike in the prime of his career. Cityscapes, Mike Bush. At second base, Venezuela's World Baseball Classic MVP and a truly special Mike, Mike Garcia. Don't you dare tell me this man is not a Mike.
It's not Michael, it's
Michael.
And if anyone embodies the spirit of Mike internationally, it's this guy. At shortstop, mi favorito Mike Mexicano, a truly great Mike who has done wonders for children's health, cancer research, and Hispanic scholarships for the last 15 plus years, and one who will be a big contributor in this lineup, Mike Young. Third base sees more KC royalty and a man I watched play in Cincinnati towards the tail end of his career, Big Moose, Mike Moustakas from the Jolt series. Designated hitter will be our designated speedster, once Rookie of the Year and young Atlanta Braves star Mike Harris II, joining us as part of the award series. And at catcher, unbelievably the only Hall of Fame Mike we have in our batting lineup, and certainly our most valuable Mike, as you'll soon come to learn, legendary Mets all-timer Mike Piazza from the Jolt series. Even on our bench, just in case our main Mikes are in need of a spark, we're happy to welcome Royals Mike Massey, the Speedy Ranger Mike Hellman, utility outfielder Mike Ciani, and of course the grandson of Hall of Famer Carl Yastrzemski, Mike Yastrzemski, the Yaz. In the course of researching this video, I also learned that Mike's dad, Carl Jr., went by Mike his whole life as well, so there was no way Yaz was being left off this team of Mikes. As an honorable mention, I must shout out young gun Mike Arroyo. He does have a spring breakout card I wanted to include, but it's currently sitting at about 50K stubs on the market, so he'll be with us in spirit. The Mikes don't stop there, folks. We have plenty of Mikes to celebrate in the bullpen as well. To start with, we have our leader of Mikes, Mexico City series Mike King, a man currently leading the Padres with under 3 ERA in real life, creating a lethal Mike to Mason duo on the mound. This Mike, unfortunately, won't see the field today as he's still resting his arm from our weekend classic games I played just before recording this video. Joining him in the pen is Mike Soroka from Tops Now. This Mike hails from Canada and one of the few I found that asked specifically to go by Michael. Mr. Soroka, I respect your wishes and your journey back to the majors, but I will still celebrate you as a Mike on this day. We have yet another Rookie of the Year on this team too, veteran arm Mike Fulmer from the award series. Mike delivers sauce with a 95-mile-per-hour sinker during the year and works as a plumber fixing sinks in the offseason, an occupation truly deserving of the name Mike. A pen of Mikes wouldn't be complete without a man who has thrown a no-no in his career. That comes to us via skater boy superstar Mike Lorenzen, representing Italy through his World Baseball Classic card. And finally, breakout Mike, another Hall of Fame Mike, Mike Mussina. A Mike with an elder scroll of accolades and near-perfect games on his record, and one we'll lean on heavily at the tail end of this series. The rest of the pen, naturally, is filled with Mikes. Despite what the number on the card may indicate, these are not Mikes who deserve scoffs or winces. These are Mikes that may be rated bronze in the live series in this video game, but these are Mikes that are in the top 0.1% of all Mikes in the world. Mikes who have earned major league recognition as the best athletes in the world. How many people in the world get the honor of being represented on a Diamond Dynasty card? I couldn't fathom what it took to get there, and I'm proud to have such warriors in my bullpen. I don't see them as bronzes. I see them as Mikes waiting for their moment. On this day, they'll use their talents in the rotation and contribute to the Mike movement. And then there's Michel Otañez. Due to the lack of relievers in the game named Mike, trust me, I have them all, Michel will stand in our bullpen in support of the Mikes, he himself being just a single letter away from counting. Michel will not see the field in this series because, well, he's not a Mike, but we love him all the same. These are your Mikes. These are the men I learned about more than I ever thought I would in the course of this journey, and ones I've come to appreciate. Mikes, let's play ball. Game 1. Mike Soroka will start off proceedings on the mound as we face off against, conveniently, a Jake in our first game. I like our odds. Soroka's repertoire of pitches is on full display in the first inning, utilizing damning cutters and circle changes to keep the scary top of the line at bay, retiring all 3 batters in short order. Our very first Mike with a bat is Michael Harris, trying to make use of his excellent speed. An otherwise solid attempt flies out, though, bringing Moose Mustaukis to the plate. Moose wastes no time becoming the first Mike in the box score with this blooper that seems to know it came from a Mike, leaping over the outfielder's head for a double. Mike Bush and Trout attempt to send the Moose home, but hunting season will have to wait as both of our Mikes are unable to find any room. In the second, our old friend Captain Jasmine Ben Rice collects a casualty on this bomb deep to left. As he trots home, we're introduced to a recurring conflict in our story. At the 5 spot for the ops, a Mike, not just any Mike, a Mike that stands in our outfield as well. For now, at least, Michael John Graydon Soroka chose to remind this Mike Trout that he's batting for the wrong side and sat him down to assert Mike dominance in the wake of the recent home run. The second inning saw more feeling out at-bats as we started to train on Jake Bennett's tendency. During that time, the emergence of our most valuable Mike, Mike Piazza, ripping his first base hit in our series, one of many to come. In the top of the third, Ellie De La Cruz wanted to tack on some disrespect, doing so by manner of line drive to center, just between a trio of Mikes desperate to hold him to a single bag. They would do that, only for Ellie to rip another base away moments later. Another speedster, this lightning-quick Bobby Whitt would follow suit, dropping one right over Mike Young's gorgeous glove to move Ellie to third. Mike Soroka, who we see on the mound, began his career as an insane pitching prospect, one of the best out there. Through 2026, it's the nasty injury bug that slowed his progress. It was bad decision-making from skipper Guy Yake that led to this free run, trying to keep Bobby Witt from stealing second base. To me, Michael still has the juice to make it. Juice like this wicked slurve to throw McGonigal off and eventually led to a broken bat flyout. After another 3-out inning from the good Mikes, the bad Mike would once again duel with Soroka. Only this time, 434 feet and a Trout trot to increase the deficit to 3-0. In response, Mike Piazza drilled this perfect shot deep that just barely fell into the wall and in play, leaving him at first base, his speed a bit too concerning for me to take 2. Scooter Conforto would get a hold of a great swing that in other circumstances could have easily snuck through. This time, though, it's another scoreless inning for the Mikes. Tell me if you've heard this one before. Ellie sneaks a base hit through on a leadoff only to find extra bases by way of his legs. Well, I've got another sequel for you. Bobby Whitt follows Ellie and hits a blooper into left to increase the lead by another run. 4-0. Things are bleak for the Mikes right now, but I don't want you to think this is a story of failure. Hardly. Mike Young's home run would light a fire under the well-toned asses of the Mikes, as 2 batters later, Venezuela's Mike would get involved in the action, catching a fastball 414 feet to shock the system and bring the score to 4-2. Soroka kept things steady until the next inning when the good Mike Trout got on with a single and set up the 4th all-time leader in Mets home run history. Mike Piazza, 3 for 3 and absolutely carrying the Mikes back from the brink of demise to tie the game 4-4. This would finally punch Jake Bennett from the game in favor of Kyle Finnegan. Typically in these situations, it takes me a moment to get a lock on the new pitcher's delivery, their tendency, things like that. Well then, in the quarterfinal of this year's World Baseball Classic, Mike Garcia delivered an earth-shattering 2-run home run in an upset against Japan and ended up having the game-deciding RBI against the United States in the final. This card he's being represented with is because of that, and that performance led him to being the star Mike. Those 3 RBIs manifested in video game form of that home run that put the Mikes up 7-4, a 7-run flurry that would remain for the remainder of the ballgame. Mike Kopech and Mike Vasil would clean up duties for the Mikes, putting down batters, avoiding heartbreak, and taking home the win, 7-4. Ultimately, a resilient win for Soroka and the Mikes as a whole. This first game was a shock to me, not because the Mikes surprised me, but because of the battle back from what seemed to be a doomed 0-4 start. They carried me. They're going to have to as we continue. Game 2. Game 2, Mike Fulmer is picking up the start. After a slight adjustment in my lineup that sees Mike Trout become the leadoff man, it seems I'm not the only one who admires the Mikes' ability to start a lineup hot. I'm also not alone in thinking the Mikes look dashing in carmine red. Because this story is about Mikes, Mike Trout, of course, secured a game-opening blooper single. Thankfully, Fulmer put any other hopes to bed that inning with the help of this Mike-to-Mike 4-6-3 classic double play. Across from the good Mikes, Tetsuya Imai's new threads delivered the gas for the day. A hitless frame welcomed back the other red guys as Tony Santander showed off his 2020 to grab a base on balls. One of my nemesis is online, Brandon Valenzuela, would take him to third, and for the second time in a row, we start a game on the losing end with this Gavin Sheets sac fly that Mike Cameron hustled his ass off to keep at 1 run. Unfortunately for Cameron, Juan Brito had no intention of leaving it at just 1. 3 runs needed to be answered so quickly, so call in the scooter for a base hit and prep the stands for Piazza. The wombo combo of Mike Madness put Piazza and Scooter on second and third with 0 outs. Unfortunately, the sport of baseball can be cruel sometimes, and in this case, it was. Not much to see through the next couple innings before once again the duo of Conforto and Piazza were back in the ring. Conforto looked to have a potential Ichiro-esque single up the middle, but this absolutely stunning play from the shortstop would halt any momentum. Fortunately for the Mikes, 2 outs does not end the inning. That's plenty of time for Mike Piazza to absolutely nuke one deep left. Another showcase of heroics to keep the game alive, 3-1. That would immediately be followed by some more heroics, this time in the form of base running. As a child, Mike Harris II idolized his favorite Atlanta Braves, Jones, Chipper, and Andrew respectively. Combined, both Jones ended their careers with 302 stolen bases. At just 25 years old, Harris has 72 as of this recording, with no signs of slowing down. You can tell he wants this. Mike Young can tell too, so he sends him home to add another run for the good guys. Mike Fulmer continued dealing into the 5th, getting the boys out of a scary corner situation on this sucker pitch sinker that Bush rallied to scoop up and tag first base. Bush wasn't done contributing in this one either. Later in the 6th inning, Tetsuya Imai failed to account for the power of the Inver Grove Heights native as he tied the game at 3-3 with this 452-foot bomb to deep center field. As the Ops would once again opt for Kyle Finnegan, he would play serviceably, but these Mikes have seen him before. In fact, they've taken him to task before. Of course, he had no way to know Mike Trout had his number. With a man on base, Trout decided now was the time the Mikes would once again come from behind to take the lead. This is the thing about Mikes. They can't be counted out. You've seen it once already and now twice. Now it's just a matter of cleanup duty for Mike Fulmer. He's been great since the early stages, but this high fastball just creeps too close to the zone. And Tony Santander, another nemesis of mine, leaves no doubt. Not your fault, Mike. You can blame me for refusing to leave meter pitching. Mike Vasil would need to slow down the bats in the top of the 9th for us to have any chance. He would do a serviceable job before Evil Mike put a dagger in my heart with this single in the gap to bring a runner home with just 1 out. About a month ago, Mike Vasil received the unfortunate news that his elbow would require the dreaded Tommy John surgery. I'm not sure if San Diego studio takes that into account, but this Mike was playing pretty well in real life until that point. In this game, though, Yordan Alvarez all but puts this one to bed after another 2-run shot makes it 8-5. The Mikes had fought back before, so a deficit was not new. However, with our backs against the wall, we just didn't have enough time to adjust to Raleigh Fingers and his sinking pitches. When this quick perfect was snuffed out in classic MLB The Show fashion, we knew it was all over from there. 8-5, a loss in the waning moments after once again battling back from a multiple-run deficit. This one's not on Vasil. It's not on the bats. Sometimes the opponent brings out the hammers. Sometimes you got to walk away and look ahead to the next one. So today, that's what the Mikes will do. Game 3. It was August 9th, 2023, that Mike Lorenzen would deal a no-hitter against the Nationals with his family and fellow Mike lovers in attendance. That came just 8 days after his former team, the Detroit Tigers, traded him for prospects. Perhaps today on this virtual diamond, Mike could recreate that magic. Through the first inning, it sure looked like he had the stuff for it. Sadly, the caliber of freak hitters you see in a normal ranked game dwarfs that of an actual batting lineup. Lorenzen was immediately shown to be simply unlucky as Cal Raleigh would reach base on this absolutely atrocious swing on a sweeper that ran down the middle. Not long after, Ian Happ also reached on a pitch outside the strike zone and landed a 2-run homer to kick off the proceedings. Mike Cameron did every last thing he could to reach out and snag this back into play, but it just wasn't meant to be. 2-0 already. I'm starting to think these Mikes are doing it on purpose. Something about playing from behind lights a fire in them. The same fire that inspires Mikes like Mike Young, a Texas Ranger legend whose number 10 jersey is retired for the franchise. A man who has spent much of his life in philanthropy, helping countless children's lives and future through his charity and scholarship work. Likely the same fire that scared the opposing skipper so bad, they decided to make a donation of their own, giving him a free base in the second inning just before Mike Cameron would send Piazza home on a sac fly to cut the lead to 1. Oh yeah, Piazza opened the inning with a blasted double before moving to third on a Mike Harris grounder. He's been nearly untouchable on the plate through these 3 games, batting close to 700 since I started this. Without question, Piazza remains the most valuable Mike. Jolt Series Al Leiter continued to duel with Mike Lorenzen over the next couple innings. Leiter, he himself notably not a Mike, and the first pitcher to ever win over all 30 MLB teams, often shared a bullpen with another great Mike in his career, both in the 1993 Jays World Series and the 2006 World Baseball Classic. Leiter was teammates and friends with Mike Timlin, a 4-time World Series champion who, to nobody's surprise, is also a highly regarded human being in the baseball world for his generosity and care, including his work in the fight against ALS. He was honored as the 2007 recipient of the Lou Gehrig Award for his exemplary work for community and philanthropy. He is just one of 2 Mikes all time amongst a slew of tremendously considerate and selfless human beings to hoist the award since its introduction in 1955. It would take until the 4th for Al Leiter to let up, giving first base to Mike Harris on this single in left. If we've learned anything about Mike Harris II, it's to never give him first, or else you might just end up giving him all 3. Those yoinked baggerinos gave plenty of room for Mike Cameron, who, just before former teammate Ichiro Suzuki's Hall of Fame induction, expressed that Ichiro taught him so much in his career and how thankful he was. I tell you what, Mike, I'm thankful too, as this almost classic Ichiro-style hit would complete Mike Harris's forceful march around the bases to nod the game back even at 2-2. Leiter would not relent much after that until Scooter Conforto stepped to the plate with a man on second. But you know, that's the thing about MLB The Show. It takes a prolonged exercise of excellence for their team to give you a big boost in ratings. Sitting at 68 overall and middling hitting ratings, I'd like to think the way the real Scooter Mike is playing right now, him getting all of this cutter high and away would have been goodbye. For our reality though, it drops harmlessly into the glove of the center fielder. Score still 2-2. In the 6th, one of my favorite players not named Mike, PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong, would make his way to first. In my terror to not let him yoink second from me, I let my control get away against Ken Singleton. This isn't Mike Lorenzen's fault. I put him in a no-win situation. PCA would end up taking the base anyway, which is also just as useless when Juan Soto blasts a shot deep into right for a 2-run home run, increasing the lead once more. Okay. Who's leading off for the Mikes on the other side? Mike fucking Piazza. Can you believe this guy? I'm going to be pining for a Piazza card with Buff Pop time in the future because I think I'm in love. In the same inning, Mike Cameron delivers the Mike's first triple of the series after a shot deep right gets away from an outfielder. Unfortunately, nothing comes of it. Mike Lorenzen has played well despite the 2 home runs, but it's done a number on his stamina. So we move over to a new Mike, Mike Grove. This is another Mike just waiting for his breakout moment following shoulder surgery in 2025. Grove can't find the corners early, giving up a couple of walks and this Kyle Tucker single. The Mikes in the field, despite their best efforts, can't catch up with the speed on the bases. Not long after, another single, another run. It's getting away from the Mikes again. Similar to Game 2, late flurries put us in a bad spot with limited time to make it up, but Mikes always play from back. They always play back into contention, even with one of the worst people you could ever ask for holding the controller. After Mike Grove takes a seat, Mike Helly and his glorious beard get us out of a jam that could have made it much worse. Unfortunately for the Mikes, there's not much else to report the rest of the way. Angel Zarpa replaces Leiter and his gas is much like it is for most of us Americans because of a pointless war in the Middle East. Simply too much to bear. Mike Harris steals a couple more bases. Mike Trout and Mike Piazza do what they can to claw back out, but by the bottom of the ninth, it's too little, too late once again. One more game to go. Same story through 3 games. Only one time we've been able to hang on. We'll need to rely on a strong Game 4 to even this thing out at 2-2. Game 4. Enter Mike Mussina, Hall of Famer whose 1992 breakout card does little to fully express how great he truly was. Through 2 remarkable stints, one in Baltimore and one in New York, he ranks top 30 all-time for wins above replacement. This 1992 breakout card represents a season where he would win 18 games on a ridiculous 2.54 ERA. On the other end, a whole lot of guys that are parallel 5'd out big style. I can tell this one won't be easy, but then again, that's exactly how Mike's like it. We won't waste time running down how well Dylan Cease kneecapped us in the first inning, so let's just cut straight to the inevitable. The moment where the opposing team blasts a couple solo home runs to set up our Mike Classic early deficit. First, it's supercharged Kyle Schwarber, then it's Pete Alonso, the same man responsible for taking 3rd place in the Mets' all-time RBI leaders once held by our most valuable Mike Piazza. Surely he's going to want to get some revenge for that. As if knowing I was going to make the reference, the very next time he gets to swing the bat, bang! Right up the middle to get on base. It was no solo dinger, but at this point we know that's not Mike's fault. That's my fault. Thankfully, he does get to celebrate with a run scored when Michael Young steps to the plate and hits a beauty right over the head of a leaping Ozzie Albies for a lead-cutting RBI. Watching these games back, I feel like I'm caught in some kind of looper situation. Mike's start down, Mike's claw back. Game 1 was a celebration. Games 2 and 3 saw perhaps too early of a celebration lead to disappointment. We'll have to see how this one plays out. Dylan Cease gets himself out of a jam when a host of Mike's find base following Young's double. Our Mussina-flavored Mike is adept enough to retire the speedy 9-1 hitters Sedan Rafaela and Trevor Story, respectively, before Kyle Schwarber demands that we return the deficit to where he left it, smashing yet another home run to make the score 3-1. Cutting right through the Mike's 3-and-out effort back to the ops, where Tony Santander continues to punish me in these games with a single, followed quickly after by Charlie Condon sitting on a sinker that falls sadly just out of Mike Cameron's outstretched arm to bring in Tony on an RBI double. 0 outs with a man on second does not bode well. One sacrifice fly takes Charlie to third, and a second sac fly takes him all the way home. 5-1 in the blink of an eye. It's not as if the Mikes are not scrupulous at the plate. Dylan Cease is pressed all the way to 60 pitches by the end of the 5th inning, whereas Mussina is relatively fresh, if not shaken. Appropriate for Mike Mussina donning this rookie card. This is not yet the Mussina that would take over the league en route to a Hall of Fame career. Every inning a struggle with no runs for the Mikes, but another blink of the eye sees Sedan Rafaela increase the lead once more. Mikes, are you with me? I know you all love to play from behind, but I'm starting to become concerned that this lead is going to be a bit too much with just 4 innings left to play. Immediately after, I think there's one name we haven't had the opportunity to talk much about today. The Moose, Mike Moustakas, the man responsible for the first hit in this entire series. Oh, holy shit, what a catch. The Moose explodes all 230 pounds of his 6-foot frame on this demon to the hot corner. If nothing else, to inspire something of a highlight we can show off in the video. Moose once expressed that if not baseball, he'd love to be a firefighter. Well, as far as this game goes, he's doing everything he can to put out some fires on offense and defense as he follows up that spectacular catch with a ripper of his own to left to try and start something for the Mikes. Mike Bush, would you like to add on to that with one of your own? Thank you, Mike. Man, as much as the Mikes love helping other people, they also love helping other Mikes. How about some more help? The good eyes and check swings at the plate finally bear fruit, this time for Mike Conforto, who draws a walk after a battle of a full count. Down 5, bases loaded. There are 4 Mikes on every bag and 1 on deck, with Mike Piazza at the plate. You can't really ask for a better situation than this. Dylan Cease does not want to see this many Mikes surrounding him, but Joan Duran doesn't mind, so he takes his place on the mound. Hey, worst case here, Piazza flies out for a sac fly, right? Right? While another famous Mike, that being Tyson, was most famous for his electric knockouts and haymakers, I'm not even sure a gut punch from Iron Mike would have hurt me as much as a 0-out, bases-loaded double play with the most valuable Mike in that situation. That was devastating. But Mikes, hey, we stand together. And baby, we don't look backwards, we look forwards. Or, in Michael Harris's case, at the very next at-bat, we look up. 4-6. The mics are not dead. Not by a long shot. Mike Messina does a solid job retiring the next two batters before finding himself in a similar pickle. I make the tough decision to replace him with Mike Kopech, another Mike with a glorious beard, another Mike whose otherwise promising statistics in real life have been marred by injury. In this tough situation, Mike is going to load the bases here with 2 outs. And who would come to bat to stick the knife in my heart? Kyle fucking Schwarber. Schwarber, as luck would have it, is the latest and one of just 21 players ever to hit 4 home runs in a single game, an honor he shares with 2 Mikes, fellow Philly Mike Schmidt and our very own Mike Cameron. In this absolute doozy of a situation, however, he doesn't even waste a pitch before swinging for the fences. Bingo! Trout catches the would-be dagger, and the Mikes live to fight another day. Next up to bat, Mike Cameron. Hey Mike, want to remind Schwarber why you accomplished that 4 home run feat as well? Attaboy, Mike. Can always count on you. Score is now 5-6, if you can believe it. Garcia, Trout, and Moose have less luck at the plate before we send it back to the Ops. Once again, the Ops refuse to give me any hope, as Pete Alonso decides he wants to hit another home run too, knocking the score back to a 2-run deficit. That's a deficit we keep fighting away from and fighting back to all the same. It's the top of the 8th where we're introduced to this absolute freak of nature I've never heard of, Tyler McLaughlin. I'm not sure I've seen this card before, and in fact, looking him up, I can't really find anything for the game. He's not in the Diamond Dynasty card database. I can see he's a kid playing in the Mets minor league system, but wait. It's only after a few pitches that I start to put the pieces together. Do you see this? If you're not aware of what that is, dear viewer, it's an icon given by San Diego Studio to real MLB players. In addition to that icon, they're also given a 1/1 99 overall elite real diamond player of themselves in the game. The Mets branding on his team, the uniforms, the icon, the banner, it's Tyler McLaughlin on the other end. This guy who plays for the St. Lucie Mets in Port St. Lucie, where I live. He plays in a stadium 15 minutes from my house, in a stadium I've visited many times before. You simply can't make this shit up. After everything the Mikes have fought back from in this game, Tyler McLaughlin himself has called his own number to pitch some of the nastiest, most unhittable pitches I've ever seen in the direction of my beloved Mikes. I've got the misfortune to tell you that I didn't realize that in the moment. I didn't pause the game to get a shot of the real 99 diamond card, unfortunately. But there's no doubt in my mind watching it back, that was him. After we hold them off for another inning, our last shot is in the top of the 9th. We need 2 runs to keep this game going. First up, Mike Cameron. I have no choice but to sit on this absolutely absurd 98-mile-an-hour cutter and come up gold with a base hit. Mike Garcia is at the plate next, and to prove he truly is a Mike, without question, drills this wannabe sweeper to left to put 2 on with 1 out. Mikes don't quit. None of them. If you haven't had to deal with a 99 everything real player carving your shit up with 100-mile-per-hour cutters that suddenly can become 70-mile-per-hour circle changes, me and the Mikes can tell you, it's not easy. He gets me overcommitting to one of those changeup on this wild swing from Mike Trout. 2 outs. With 2 on, it's the Moose. A home run gives the Mikes the lead. Hell, even a base hit is sure to bring home at least 1 and threaten another. Mike works us well into a full count. It's time to make some magic. It's time to show what Mike means. Bring it on, Tyler! Bring it on! Not all stories have happy endings. But for the Mikes, this story was about more than the ending. Each and every Mike who took the field in this series, they battled, and they battled more than I deserve. What started for me as a silly joke so I could write a script and say the word Mike over 250 times turned into something much bigger. The game showed me that these guys are far from a punchline. So this went from content for laughs to content for appreciation, I guess. I must give one more shout out to our most valuable Mike. Mike Piazza ends this series batting over .520. Fitting, as the real Mike Piazza would end his actual career with a remarkable .308 batting average, and consistency like this is a big reason why. Initially, I chose to play our home games at Citi Field because of the connection to Mike Bloomberg. But after the series was done, that field was Mike Piazza's domain, a tribute to the Mike that led the way. He may have never actually played on that field during his playing days, but it is the building that ultimately his number 31 jersey was retired in 2016, him being only the second ever Met to receive the honor, and the first Mike. As someone who his entire life has been so quick to give up, to call it quits when the outlook doesn't look good, I'm really glad these Mikes didn't let me. I've been made a fan of so many mics I knew so little about before this stupid project. This is just a stupid video game. This is just a stupid video next to nobody is gonna see. But the men who were put into this stupid video game receive that honor because of who they were in the real world, their impact stretching well beyond the sport they played. The fact that during this project I just so happened to run into a player who plays in the very same city I reside in who would crush my comeback efforts with his own real 99 diamond pitcher card. Crazy. I've been made a fan of one Tyler McLaughlin, whose name I did not know before writing this script, but one I'll sure as shit remember long after. I hope Tyler dominates the minors and gets that call up. I hope he goes on to have a career that fits neatly in between all these mics we've talked about, and all those mics whose hearts he shattered with that lethal circle changeup in the 9th inning. What a stupid, amazing, weird little ride that was. Thank you for watching. Until next time.